Welcome and hello. This is a support video in HEC RAS. And in this video, I'm going to be answering a question that came in one of the comments, and it's this right here. Can we copy and paste operation rules from a 1D model to a 2D model and vice versa? All right, so the short answer is yes, and I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how that works. What I have on my screen now is my HEC RAS. I have RAS Mapper with a completed model. You're seeing the results here. There's a terrain layer. I'm showing the depth. The blue right here is the results from the simulation. And then if I toggle off the terrain, you can see a little bit better. And then here is the velocity, and then here is the water surface elevation. I have an inline structure here that has a single gate group. And then over in the geometric data editor, see, that was the 2D flow model. I have a 1D flow model with an inline structure as well with the same named gate group. And we're going to go ahead and share the same rules between these two gate groups for 1D and 2D. All right, so let's start with the 2D. Actually, let me go ahead and look at the RAS mapper. And if I go up to my boundary conditions, I can go up to edit and then unsteady flow data. I have an upstream boundary condition for 2D, a downstream boundary condition line for 2D. And then for 2D also, I have the inline structure, what I'm calling 2DIS. And the boundary condition here is rules. At the top, I have the boundary conditions for the 1D model, which is the upstream, downstream, and inline structure gate data. Now, currently, the inline structure has no rule data, but the inline structure for the 2D model right here does have some rules that I've edited in. So let's go ahead and take a look at those one at a time. I'll click on that button to enter and edit the rule editor. What we're seeing here is the gate starts open at 6 feet. This is using a gate opening simulation right here. It is gate 1. That is the one and only gate group in the inline structure. And then it's just a constant 6 feet for the value that it's set to. In line 2, I'm creating a variable called hour of simulation, and it's just as it says. The name is hour of simulation, and I selected this right here, hour of simulation, at the beginning of the time step. Line 3 here is just as an if statement, and it closes on line 5. If the hour of the simulation is greater than 8 hours, then close the gate, basically. Change that same gate opening command that we have in line 1 from 6 feet down to 0 feet, which effectively closes the gate. If you want to go ahead and copy this specific command, you can go ahead and highlight all the rows. So I'm clicking on the first line of code, holding down the shift key, and then single left click on the last line of code. It's all highlighted. Come over here to this copy button, current selection changes, copy current selected rules to the clipboard, and then click copy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just paste that into my text editor in a new text file here. So Control V. This is what that text looks like. Now, this is not exactly the same thing you're used to seeing, not what we saw right here, but it's probably text that the computer can read. All right, so let's go ahead and click OK and OK. Now I'm going to visit the rules here for the 1D inline structure. So I'm going to double click that, or you can also open up the editor by clicking rules here and then clicking rules here. Now we don't have any rules like I showed previously, but if I click on the enter/edit rule operations, and then I can paste, this button for paste is enabled. It's still on my clipboard. So I'll go ahead and click paste, and boom, we have our simulation data pasted in here. Now I didn't try it from 1D to 2D. I assume it's just the same, but let me go ahead and click OK and then OK here. And then let me save the boundary conditions here, the unsteady flow data. And then I'm going to run the model and then click compute. Okay, that ran. It took 17 seconds. I'll click close. Let's go ahead and check out some results. So as before, we have our results from 2D. I'm going to toggle on the depth first, and I'm going to just play the simulation through. So right at 8 hours right there, you can see the depth of the water gets deeper on the upstream end, and that's because the gates close. Now I'm going to look at the results for the 1D model. So go to view. Let's check out cross sections, and then I'm going to animate. All right. The flow rate starts at 500 CFS, and then it decreases to, I think, 400 CFS over the course of 24 hours. 8 hours into that simulation is when we will see the gates close. So right now they're open, and I'm just going to click through. It's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 8 o'clock. The gates are now closed, and now the flow has to go over the inline structure to pass through the inline structure. Okay, so that demonstrates for me that it's very easy to copy the rules from one inline structure to another inline structure, or possibly between different types of structures when going from 1D to 2D or 2D back to 1D models. There were a few things that I kept consistent between the 1D model and the 2D model. So say, for instance, we look at the geometry itself. I'm going to open up the geometric data editor. And then over here, I have my inline structure for 1D. So I'm going to click on that. Here is the structured data. I have two gates. Let me open up the gates button here. The gate group itself is called gate 1, and then the height is 6 feet. And I have two gate openings, G1 and G2. Okay, so let me close that. And then let me open up my SA2D connection. This is going to be the inline structure here in the 2D model. And what I have is my weir embankment profile. And if I click on gates, again, I have a height of 6 feet because that's where it starts. And it's a different width. It's a different invert. It's also a different number of gate openings, but it is the same gate group name up here called gate 1. So I just wanted to point that out, but I'm pretty sure you need to have the same gate group name if you're going to be copying the rules from 1D to 2D. And I'm also pretty sure your gate height needs to be at least 6 feet because that's what I'm starting it at. As far as the gate width and the invert, that and the number of gate openings, that can be different between your 1D model and your 2D model if you're copying the data over. And of course, there's a lot more to the model building process in this particular support video than I demonstrated here, such as the hydraulic data, the terrain data, but there's plenty of other videos on this channel to demonstrate how to build out a fully working model like you saw right here. Hope that was helpful.